Hey, everybody, it's Maria from What's the Story with Maria. How's it going? Nice to have you. We're so happy you're here. Tonight is November 19th, 2024. We are deep into Scorpio season, and we have so many Scorpio friends. So, tonight, two wonderful people that are joining us, Jill G, or just Jill, she goes by, and Patti Rothberg of the Ruminators, and many other things. So, Leo, hit that promo.
I'm a big fish in a small pond. Got my days free and the nights long. I create my own reality. Who I am is fine with me. As famous as I wanna be. Who I am is fine with me. It's who I am. It's who I am. Who I am is fine with me. It's who I am.
Welcome back. We are so glad you're here. So, uh, so many things going on, and so many things I don't want to talk about. How does that sound? Crazy, right? So, I am so grateful to have this outlet and that Leo and I get to do this every week so that we can just go back to our wonderful creative lives and let the world spin out of control out there because there's not a damn thing we can do about it. I mean, there's lots of things you can do about it to feel better, and I always I'm all about being active, staying active in the sense of sticking up for your own life and making sure that you're plugged into the right kind of people and the right kind of things. So, um, uh, please keep doing that because I got to tell you, it's been a rough few weeks for most of us. And so continue to do what you're doing. And I think one of the most important things that I realized this week is that the world might feel like it stops spinning, but it doesn't. So what I did this week, which really helped me a lot, is I didn't listen to the news. I listened to like local news, for like if my trains are on time, what the weather is, local stuff. But I didn't listen to cable news at all. And I got to tell you, it really helped. And then what I did do is I went back to listening to my audiobooks and listening to Stephen King's book on writing. It's very good. And I have so many, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. So I have a lot of audiobooks that I've already downloaded, and I'm going to do that. And I decided I'm going to go back to keeping a journal because I was talking to the girls that we have on tonight, Jill and Patti, and I said during COVID, I was so stressed out that I started just typing into a Google Doc when I couldn't sleep and I was terrified, and I would just type into my Google Doc and just whatever was on my mind, like I'm so terrified, whatever, just to pour it out there and leave some evidence of myself in case I disappeared. That's how frightened. I don't know about you, but that's how frightened I was. And I'm kind of in that place again. So I decided I'm going to not listen to the news, that kind of news, and I'm going to try to like listen to things that bring me, zone me right into my creativity more. And one of the books that I I read a lot of books on creativity and or other people's experience with creativity and how they do what they do. And one of my favorite books I ever read was called 12 Notes, which is by Quincy Jones. And ironically, Quincy Jones, of course, he passed away on November 3rd. And I started to watch a documentary the other night. There's a documentary on his life that his daughter, Rashida Jones, who's an actress, actually, she is the daughter of Quincy Jones and Peggy Lipton, who was an actress on the Mod Squad. I don't know if you're old enough to remember the Mod Squad, but I do. And so Rashida Jones, who I believe is might be his youngest daughter, she made this documentary. And I watched it almost all the way through. I'm going to go back and finish it. There is so much in this documentary. Quincy Jones was such an amazing person. And you talk about being up against the most difficult things that you can imagine. Um, I mean, he was a little boy in the 30s. Can you imagine being a young black child in the 30s in America? How hard that was. And his mom was not well, so she was not able to take care of them. And so I mean, their dad took care of them. He and his brother, but he and his brother basically raised themselves. But what he found as a young teenager, maybe like around 12 or 13, is he discovered music. He found a piano that he could play, and he picked up trumpet, and he literally just went crazy. He learned to play the bass. He went to anything that he could get his hands on and absorb, and anyone he could be around in the music business at all. And by the time he was 14, he was playing in bands and being hired. Like, can you imagine? And then in his like late teens, early 20s, he started writing scores and compositions, and just it's mind blowing. I highly recommend this documentary. I think it's just called Quincy Jones, and I think it's on either HBO Max or Netflix. So just go and look it up, and do yourself a favor and get the book 12 Notes. And you will not feel so bad about your own life. You'll think, if this little boy can deal with everything that was coming at him at a time in America that was so horrific, and he just kept at it, then I can do it too. You know, and I was really thinking, I was thinking a lot about that whole MAGA, Make America Great Again thing, and how people say, well, when was it great then? Because I personally think it's the best it's ever been now, right? I mean, not now, but like 2 weeks ago. And how the world is going. I mean, for us, for most of us, it's so much better now than it ever was. Like I said before the election. But when people say make America great again, it really got me thinking when I watched this documentary. What did you mean by that? That's a very specific thing to say. So, in other words, let's go back to that time when we could control everyone. And it really got me thinking. So what I am going to do, thank you for joining me, my love. I'm glad you're with me.
I love that point that you were making.
Yes, and you know what, Leo? I mean, I love Quincy Jones anyway. I have nothing but the utmost respect for him. Oh my God! And
soundtrack of a life, really. I mean, movies, films, all those TV shows that he wrote. He did so many TV show themes.
Yes, and you know what else? When he was a young, I guess in his late teens, early 20s, he went to Paris with a bunch of musicians, and he really flourished there because Paris was not. It didn't have the racism that we had here, right? No.
Josephine Baker was able to thrive at the same time over there.
Right. So he was so amazing, this young guy. And Frank Sinatra got a hold of, like, he listened to some of the arrangements that he was doing, and he said, I have to work with this guy. And he hired him like right away and loved him and hired all the musicians that he worked with. And I mean, Frank Sinatra is so, he's so revered, right, by especially the Italians. But people don't know the behind the scenes of Frank Sinatra and what a civil rights activist he was. And people,
if it wasn't for Frank Sinatra, those cats in Vegas would not be able to dine with people after they performed. Or get equal rights as performers because of Sinatra.
One of the things that came up in this documentary, which I was, I just was like, people need to know this stuff, was that he had these amazing musicians, and they were all African American, and they would play at these high-end clubs, and then afterwards they had to stay across town. They wouldn't. So Frank Sinatra said, no, if they can't stay in this hotel with me, I'm not playing here. And it was people like that. Marilyn Monroe was also the same. She used to go and see Ella Fitzgerald every night. She said to the club owner, if you hire this singer, I will come and sit in the front row every single night. And she did. And the same thing. She
Mae
said,
West
no,
was
no.
also a person that put
Yeah.
some guts into it.
So I just want to put that out there that we're entering a very strange and dark period in our history, and we must be ready for that, but we also must be ready to stick up for one another, to stick up for ourselves and one another. And there, to quote Michael Isaacs, our great friend Michael Isaacs, there are more of us than there are of them, and we need to stick together. And music now more than ever, all kinds of creativity more than ever now. We really need it. So,
do you have a Quincy Jones favorite in your thoughts? What's your favorite?
I mean, I'd have to go back and look at all of. Sometimes I forget his body of work. It's like, I mean, we know he did the Michael Jackson albums; those were like amazing. But he did.
I heard a story about that. Michael wanted to get rid of something. Michael wanted to get rid of the in one of his early songs, and he went to Quincy, and Quincy was like, "No,
right.
You don't tell that, no." And it's one of the biggest hits. I have to tell you my favorite, because this movie is my favorite because of that soundtrack.
Okay,
and it's The Color Purple.
Oh my God!
God's trying to tell you something. Oh my God! It is just. It makes me cry if I need to cry, if I need to get rid of my machismo and come home and just cry. Yeah. Color Purple, I'll go right to that scene. God's trying to tell. See, Daddy, singers have soul too.
Yeah. I know. So many. You forget so much stuff that he did. Brenda.
Andy.
Yeah. No. So much. Just so many. So I did want to just start with that, because as I was getting ready tonight, one of my friends texted me about Quincy Jones, and she sent me a song, and I haven't had a chance to, but I was texting back with her, and it just reminded me that I wanted to talk about Quincy Jones and what a life that he had. And I mean, when you have to read his book, 12 Notes, or just watch.
We are blessed for his existence.
But he had the hardest childhood you could imagine, the hardest, and it was. And I keep thinking, if that kid can stay in the game, we can stay in the game.
I think he was the one that got Ray Charles off the Chitlin circuit as well when Ray was doing it. And it was Quincy that pushed him to
Yeah, but Ray was 2 years older than him, but he was still a young kid. They were kids.
They were still friends.
Yeah, they were kids. And if they
can love that part of history.
We can do it. Yeah. Go back. Listen, if you're feeling down and if you don't know what to do, go back and listen to the old stuff.
Just so you know, guys, in the future, when we're talking about Maria, I'm going to be that person that was like, oh, yeah, she was my friend, and I got to talk to her. We're going to talk about it like that, just you know.
Oh, my God. All right. So let's say hi to some of our friends, and then I can't wait to zoom in our wonderful guests.
Can we talk about our November spread, too?
Our what? Oh, whoa. All right. I thought you were talking about Thanksgiving. Holy moly. Okay, so this is our friend Tom Gold. He is a choreographer, and
obviously, look at that.
I know. I mean, what an extension! And Leo, you had to comb through many pictures to find the best one. So I thank you for doing that. I know you, blood, sweat, and tears, baby. But so speaking of, this is Tom Gold. He is Liz Goldenberg's brother-in-law. He's married to Liz's brother, and he. Go and look up the Tom Gold Dance Company. They're amazing, and they're always doing something spectacular, and he's the loveliest person. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and Leo, once again, as is his job every year, to comb through semi-nudes and pick the best ones. We have our Nothing But the Apron calendar, and as my sister said, only you, Jalen, can get people to take off their clothes for no money. I never ask anybody to do anything they don't want to do. But what we do is we get our friends to, actually they come to us and say, can I be in your calendar? And so we have 12 or maybe 14, because there's some of them or more.
Couple
couples this year. So people that wear Nothing But the Apron, and the calendar will be available. I think it's getting delivered in about a week or two.
Yep, it's being printed as we speak now.
Right. So it's about the same size as last year, but a thicker quality. So that's really good. So we will let you know, and please feel free to. I will have them at all my jobs in the city. You can stop by and pick them up, or if you want them delivered, I will put them in the mail for you, so you can have them for Christmas.
You can also pre-order them at whatsastorywithmaria.com.
Okay.
And she said they were thicker. THICC.
What?
Ooh, I'm hip with the lingo, man.
I know,
I'm
baby.
hip with
I
the
know
lingo.
you are. All right, let me check on. So Danielle of Danielle Alexandria Alchemy has joined us. Happy Tuesday, Maria Leo, and What's the Story, fam? Happy birthday to Rena, Lynn, and Lori. Yep, our Scorpios. And Bill Goffey is also Scorpio, but he's born in October. Speaking of audiobooks, Cher's new came out today. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Cher's new book, I have to get it. I love audiobooks. I like both, but I really, because I drive a lot and I can listen. And now I'm not listening to the news anymore. I'm not listening. I haven't put any of it on. I don't want to hear it. You know what? You got yourself into this mess. You guys take care of it. I'm going to be over here working on 2026 and the midterm.
Apparently, the demo's new theme or strategy is FAFO.
Yes.
F around, find out, baby.
Find out. I love it. Andy, Sudi Rick Caritas, good advice. Thank you, my friend. His busy season is coming up. Rick is a screenwriter and also a songwriter, and he's got a lot of Christmas songs. So go and check.
All he wants for Christmas is Me Gone.
Me Gone, hysterical. And then Andy Prasky, who we adore. Hello, guys. Happy Tuesday. Andy and his gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful. What a beautiful soul your sister is. I want to like hang out with her, Andy, and we have to have lunch, all three of us, and if Leo comes to town. So they were on last week, and he's written 3 books. Yeah, I have them. Butchie was afraid. Yeah, Butch was afraid.
It was the Butchie was afraid series. Butchie and the Witch, Butchie and the Bicycle, and Butchie and the Scary Dream.
Yes. So please go and check. We'll put the link in there somewhere at some point. Or you type it in, Andy. They can find it on Amazon.
Go to Amazon. Amazon, type in Butchie was afraid series.
Butchie was afraid. Oh my God. Amazing books for kids. I bought 3 for Nicole's daughter, Natalie. We have a newborn in our family, and I bought 3. So so when she gets older and they can read to her, she'll have all 3 of them. Okay,
do you know who just popped in?
Who? Oh, Jay Rivera.
Hi, Jay.
Mr. April 2022. He was a hot Mr. April. So
this is for me.
It's almost Leo's birthday, says Danielle. Danielle, you are so amazing to remember that. Not next week. So a week from tonight is Elliot Gould and Karen Mack, because they're doing their show. They're going to join us. And but after that, so 2 weeks from tonight, we are celebrating Leo's birthday right here, having many guests zoom in. So that's going to be
Leo's favorite things.
That's right, Leo's favorite things.
If Oprah can do it, so can I.
I know. And Jay Rivera, love you, crazies. I was thinking about you today, Jay. I've been thinking about you a lot. So much to talk about. Okay, Rena, great gifts. Yes. All right. So Lori Towers, our birthday girl for tonight, who she is.
Happy birthday, honey, when you listen to this.
Yes, we love Lori, and she's at an event tonight. But she called me a few weeks ago. She goes, I got 2 girls. I want you to get on your show. They're amazing. And she mentioned the girls, and I said, first of all, absolutely. Anybody Lori sends me, because Lori's the best. And I always end up loving her friends, and they become friends of mine. But so we got them on for tonight. We have Jill G, also goes by Just Jill, and Patti Rothberg. They are musicians. They are singers. They're songwriters. They're fabulous. Legends, yeah. Downtown legends. But they're all over the place. It's not just downtown. So what do you think, Leo? Can we zoom them in and stay with us? Stay with us too.
Yeah, but I gotta do this.
I know. Hey, girls.
Hi.
Hello. Nice to see you again. We saw each other before the show, and so Just Jill, or Jill G, and Patti Rothberg of the Ruminators. So you two work together as the Ruminators, right? So you are the Ruminators, right?
We are the Ruminators.
You are the Ruminators. Now, Patti, I was telling you earlier, I listen to your stuff. Patti Rothberg, if you don't know, if you've never heard of Patti Rothberg, you probably have heard her music. And if you were like me, a 90s, just, I was drinking great music. My brain was drinking it in the 90s. And yours was music I was loving, and I still love it. So thank you, Patti, for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you folks need to get on Spotify and type in Patti Rothberg, and that album will pop up between the 1 and 9. I loved it. I love it still. And now you got a whole new musical life, right?
4 bands.
4 bands. What the hell? Love it. Okay, so let's connect you two. How did you two start working together musically?
Go ahead.
So we've known each other 25 years.
I love that.
As friends, and we met through a mutual producer. He was working on my music. And then Patti and I struck up a friendship. And I think we started writing music a few years after that, after we were just hanging out and spending time. And it took us for our first EP like several years. I think we wrote 5 songs together, and then we wrote another 4, and then we have more. We're working on a 3rd one actually, but we started, I think, just as friends. And then I also had first seen Patti at a show in the West Village at a benefit, Bill Pop's benefit, and I was just really amazed by her voice and her music, and I just really loved it. But I hadn't really thought we were gonna perform together,
Yeah, it's funny how life happens, right? It's just like you're on 2 different tracks, and then all of a sudden I love collaboration too. I'm such a fan of that, of people coming together. Like the beauty of New York, I think, is that we have so many wonderful artists, like kind of just spinning out there, right? And then life brings you together, and you're like, hey, we should do something, we should. It's like, I don't think life is like that anywhere else, but New York is just like, it's specific to New York, of hanging with people, working with others, and then someone introduce you, and you admire each other's work, and then you're writing stuff together. So Jill, have you also play guitar as well?
I play guitar. I've been playing bass. And also I do a little percussion for the Ruminators. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And Patti, you play guitar for sure, right?
When in the 90s, for that record that you're talking about, I was signed to EMI. It was the same label as the Beatles, Duran Duran, Kate Bush, all my favorite artists.
Right.
And it was a choice between being a little fish in a giant pond. That was so neat.
I know.
And I was introduced to, you can come into my house, and I have like certain people would, I'm not going to name any names, but like, here's a guitar signed by Aerosmith. Here's, they would try to like give you stuff to come to Sony. And then EMI was more like, are you sure this is the life you want? And I was just out of college. So I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Is this the life I want?
Of course.
I don't know. I mean, but I said, yeah, this is the life I want. Definitely. And that's why I wanted to hear Jill's version of how we met, because there's so many ins and outs of it and so many different little pieces of it. For example, when I was seeing this producer romantically or whatever at the time, and we would both be in like the waiting room. Like neither one of us were making our own music on a computer program. I didn't know how to do it myself. So both of us would have to hire a producer. She had one named Major Matt, very talented guy. And that's who she was working with before. And then it shapes the sound of your music.
Of course.
So what you were drinking in the 90s.
Yep.
Was probably a lot of the same stuff that we both were listening to. Like, I mean, some females, like I loved Julianne Hatfield. She loved Liz Phair. I also love Liz Phair too. But
Yeah.
we would have, or like we'd be waiting for our records to be mixed by this man, and I would notice that she would have these fabulous outfits on, And today we actually have like a psychic beeline to each other's taste. And we say the same thing at the same time. We've been friends for such a long time. And our writing process, because in 2008, the romantic aspect of this producer and I ended. So I was having a lot of slumber parties with Jill because she lived just 2 blocks away.
I love that. So
that. I'd be on the couch.
I think that's when things got started. Like it was sort of
That's how I
the breakup phase, and then that's when we started writing. Maybe before that, we started writing some music.
I wonder what the first song is that we wrote.
Jerry's. I think Jerry's.
That's right.
Yeah.
We would write about situations, dating, like we were kind of dreading it, because there's COVID, as for example, because we were talking about that before.
Yeah.
That's something that is a negative thing that touched literally everyone alive's life.
Absolutely.
And sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. So this breakup was very painful because it was 10 years long. And we would have these slumber parties that were actually a lot of fun. Because I would be sprawled out on the couch and we'd be like, "Good night, John boy," So I don't want to go to work, and it would turn into songs because we would, obviously we'd have discussions. What this was this one ritual right before bed, we would make up a lyric, and we had an EP before long.
I love that. So it's kind of almost like twins. Like when you put twins together, they have their own language, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Definitely. We are like from another mystery.
It is kind of like there are times when we come up, we were thinking the same thing. It's like one brain kind of thing, or we both have outfits. Like one time I think I had an outfit or whatever. She was dressed like it was like twins.
It was like bizarrely perfect. She walked in the door and I was like, "Who gave you the memo?" Because it was, we both had flowered shirts, a sweater. It was so unbelievable, and it's on the internet. I wrote it. I was documenting.
I love it. Yeah, but I think friends. I mean, creative friends. I know I have certain friends like that we just one of my best friends, Susie, and I have worked together for over 30 years, at different jobs. We've had like 4 different jobs where we end up working together. We're hired lots of times as teachers or as comedians or whatever we do together. And we don't even have to have conversations about stuff. Like we just get it, She'll just email me something that I already, I was going to ask her about anyway. She's like, "Oh, this is just in case you need that for tomorrow." I was this close to texting her, "Can you send me that?" And I think friends are just like that. We're kind of like, it's like siblings, And in lots of ways, as adults, we spend so much more time with our friends than our siblings or family, because sure. you come to New York and we do what we're doing, and then you just, we kind of raise each other, right? We're these young artists that come to the city and we kind of raise each other,
Well, I think we're both actually from New York. So it's been interesting to see New York change also too
Oh my God!
Because I was here in the 70s for junior high school and high school, and then I left for Chicago for grad school, and then when I came back in '99, then that's around the time that I met Patti. Yeah. And Patti was also from here originally, so it's sort of New York is the backdrop, and also that being part of our aesthetic, I think too.
Did you two live on the Lower East Side? Or you performed a lot down there, right?
We met on the Lower East Side at a place that's no longer there called Kenny's Castaways.
Of course. I know it well. I know it well.
Did you write the theme song, before I forget to ask you, of your show?
Yes.
Is that you singing?
Yeah.
And are you singing with Susie, or is that just you?
No, that's just me and my friend Greg Schlotthauer, who's an amazing musician. he and I co-wrote that. He's an incredible musician, and he does a lot of the harmony, but he also does the arrange. He's a great arranger too. Like he's really cool at like, oh, we need a bass line for this, and writes this amazing bass line, and then we're really good at harmonies together. So yeah, we wrote that. It's sped up for the promo, but it's on my album. I have an album on
I'd love to hear
Spotify.
it.
Yeah,
I definitely want an apron. I'll pay. I want an apron calendar. I'll explain. I had a booker ever since I stopped working with this producer we both knew. In 2009, we met. I did an album called Overnight Sensation.
Oh, I love that name.
There's already a Frank Zappa famous album with the same title. And then there's another person that did it too. But mine was sort of like a reference to that album that you're talking about, Between the 1 and the 9.
Oh, I love that album.
Thank you. It actually was an overnight sensation, literally. And then by 2009, we were sort of like in the soup because somebody had invented Napster the same year.
Oh my God, you're right.
My album came out and then Napster came out.
I forgot about Napster. I wanted to kill that guy.
Which one?
The guy that there was one guy, wasn't it one guy that created Napster?
Oh, the guy that made it. Yeah. I thought you meant maybe Lars. Actually, Lars Ulrich was like the one who tried to stop it. He's saying you're going to kill the whole industry if you do this.
And it did, because you know what? Like I remember when my album came out, I had 2 albums. My first one came out in 98, and I printed up like a couple of thousand and sold them. Like it was easy to sell. Like wherever you were gigging, it was just easy. So it was like you could make your money back. And then my second one came out in 2003, and I ended up ordering so many more. But then, like it just started with the streaming, and the more it streamed, and that people could share your music, then none of us could make money anymore. And you didn't know what was out there, and how could you ever prove who was streaming your music? It really was one of the worst things to happen. I mean, it was great that the whole world could hear your stuff. That's the good part of streaming. The bad part of it is that people weren't buying stuff anymore.
Yeah.
So it was very challenging, but you're right. The 90s, that was that, because I was listening to your album at the same time that like Melissa Etheridge was kind of breaking in. So like, I just remember like it was the badasses, like those were the badass girls. And like they were like those independent thinkers, that just kind of were cut from a same spot. Yeah. No, but I loved it. So that was what I was drawn to, and there was a couple people like that, and it wasn't commercial. Like it was just its own thing. Like your album was its own thing. It wasn't anything else. Melissa Etheridge's was her own thing. It was like, I'm trying to think of some of the people back then that I listened to, but that were just starting to, bring great stuff. And who's this little person? This little.
Oh, that's Twilight. Is that Twilight?
Where? Oh, that's Twilight, my little baby.
Oh, how beautiful.
Isn't he cute? And that's our first sticker, the Ruminators. You can still see them on mailboxes across America.
I love it. Now, you said that you play in Jersey, because I'm in Jersey right now, because sometimes I broadcast from my girlfriend's. But so you said you play a few gigs in Jersey. And
I have a great long history in New Jersey, but I'll make it short. Okay. I was in a Ramones tribute band for 10 years.
Love it.
I was Joey, of course.
Of course.
I loved Joey. When I went to see Wayne's World, and it's a few blocks from where I ended up living right now in New York City, which is kind of interesting. I saw Wayne's World, and I thought I was alone in the theater. I couldn't find anyone to watch it with me. The actual real Joey Ramone walked into the theater.
Wow.
I talk about foreshadowing, and he's very tall too. And I couldn't concentrate on the movie. I had to watch it twice.
Oh my God.
Because I was like, oh my God. Anyway, the point is, we used to rehearse in New Jersey. There was a Pink Floyd tribute band called The Machine or something like this. And they did incredibly well because a lot of people across all politics, all whatever, I know there's Roger Waters and his politics, but Pink Floyd, somehow with kids for ages, for decades. They just hit, and everybody has Dark Side of the Moon. It's
Yes,
been number one. I think it still is.
Still is, yeah.
It's amazing.
And that's really the power of music.
Yeah.
That it transcends anything. I mean, that's what you would strive. There's something to strive for there.
Yeah, and anything that's good, that's written well, whether you're writing it well or not. Maybe it's just being channeled, right? But when something is really good, it's good forever. Like any generation can look at it differently and find something in it. But like those are like something like Dark Side of the Moon is like it I mean, that just gets better and better and better. And crazier the world is, the better it is.
It's kind of interesting. Like Patti and I, like we met through her producer, but I also am a photographer. So I started taking photos of Patti, like just sort of promo pictures for her. And then I think at one point there was like a dance studio with like 1 million mirrors. So, I took photos over there, and I would take, sort of surreal pictures of her dressed up.
And we ended up using them in the book that I wrote. It took me 5 years. Wow. And it was in New Jersey. And this is the craziest coincidence ever. But, and I'm sort of jumping around, but there's so much New Jersey. Great. Okay, so the book that she's talking about, where she's all over, all her photographs, everything.
What's the name of the book?
It's called Extra Awesome.
Extra Awesome. And they're your photographs, Jill.
And Jill's photographs are all over that book.
Wow.
And I went to Maxwell's, which was the big club in Hoboken.
Yeah.
That's where I saw John Taylor, who's from Duran Duran. We just saw Duran Duran on Halloween.
How cool.
At Madison Square Garden, where I played. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. So I'm skipping all around because there's so much to say about New Jersey in particular. Where did I leave off? Oh, yeah. Linden. I'd never heard of Linden. I know it's like 2 or 3 stops out of, it goes to Secaucus, Elizabeth, Linden.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Out of
right.
Penn Station. Okay, so I didn't know anything about New Jersey Transit, but I know that I played with Linda Perry of Four Non Blondes at Maxwell's. Okay, so we're on a double bill, and some guy that I'd never met came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm a really big fan of yours. Is it okay if I take a picture of you?" And that's Richard. Okay, Richard lives in Linden, right?
Okay.
But we met at Maxwell's.
But Richard also did Patti's first book, Extra Awesome.
Wow.
Right. So he said, "I need to have a day with you. Why don't we do a photo shoot in Morgan Avenue?" Now, of course, Williamsburg. We're in Brooklyn. But anyway, we went to Brooklyn because they were tagging the graffiti, which now has been there for years. The year was 1910. That'd be funny. 2010. And Richard is a photographer. And he used to live above the funeral home in Linden to save money. And also because he has he's got like dark humor. He's hilarious. Yeah. And he doesn't care,
Yeah.
So that's how Jill and Richard met, through photography. And they could have monetized. She should be like, a billionaire or something, because her photos are beautiful and artsy. And she actually uses old cameras and toy cameras.
That's fantastic.
You can see them in Extra Awesome. Same thing with Richard. But their complaint, just like our complaint, is that everybody has a phone, so everybody has a camera.
Right.
So now everybody's out of a job.
And everybody's a photographer now. Anybody can be. And you know what else is that anybody can take a picture of a picture and share it. Like people do that all the time, or people post stuff, or you can go flip through a book and, oh, I love that, click, and then you can share it. You don't.
Showing the mannequin.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, we would go. That's another. Okay, so what do I say about Jersey? I had a manager from Teaneck.
Yes, Teaneck's out there. That's out there.
And I met Phoebe Snow right before she passed away. amazing voice.
Oh my God,
Amazing
I
person.
loved Phoebe Snow in the 70s. I listened to so much Phoebe Snow. I mean, wow. And then I was working in a restaurant once and I waited on her. I waited on her and Helen Reddy. They were together.
I have a
Oh,
Helen
cool.
Reddy
Yep,
record
that's
cover in my apartment.
Wow.
Just because, I mean, it was like, I am woman, hear me begin to roar, but not quite. I'm sorry. Is it okay if I roar? You know,
Right.
like, and nobody ever really roared. And now it's like, you think you're going to roar, bitch? You know, now
Well, you know, it's kind of what you were saying, Maria. Sort of, it makes me think like, what was, you know, the ideology that's being brought back? It's from the 50s, like, you know,
Right.
before women were voting, before women, you know, had a voice, before women were working as doctors. You know what I mean? So, or there were very few. So, it's kind of interesting. Like, are we really going to go back? You know. But yeah, you even think of the 70s, like it was
Right.
New York was very broke.
Just and also, you know, like I didn't realize, but I learned a lot of things in the last few months. Like women couldn't get a loan for a business until 1989.
75.
No,
I
no.
thought it was 75.
Well, that might have been for something else. But
Oh.
like, let's say I wanted to open a business, I couldn't do it until 1989. Like, that's not that long ago.
Wow.
So
No, I remember it well.
So do I. You know, so like, are you kidding me? Like, I can't imagine, or you couldn't get certain loans or credit cards unless your husband co-signed for you or your father. It's like, what? Like, I can't even imagine that. The thought of that makes me so angry that someone would want to pull. Like, why would anybody want to pull anybody back for, like, why? Like, just go about your business, live your life, succeed or don't succeed, or sit on your couch or whatever the hell you do. But why would you pull someone else back? Like, how does that help you? You know, that's why I don't want to get on this too long, but that's why I think it's so important that we continue to make art, to continue to show what we are and who we are. And like, you can't touch that. You can try a million things, but you cannot squash an artist. You just can't. You know, like, that creativity will live and live and live and live. And no matter what you do to an artist, that artist will continue to create, even if it's not for years. But even your thinking is creative. I always tell people that. You know, like, a car is still a car, whether it's in the driveway or on the highway. An artist is still an artist, whether they are creating something that day or not, because you're always in that zone, you know. So I think it's very important that we continue to do what we're doing, you know. All right, let me see. Leo, now, girls, I don't know, I didn't tell you this, but I always have food on the show. Yes, because I love to eat. That's my thing. I love to eat. Tonight I did not cook because I came over here at the last minute. But I did get myself something delicious. I think it's very important to eat what you love. So I got myself delicious Thai food tonight.
Yummy.
In Jersey, Patti, in Edgewater. So this is shrimp pad see ew.
Wow,
So
that's great.
I love it. Nice thick noodles. You got some bok choy in there, some egg, some shrimp. Absolutely delicious. I love anything Asian, like all that stuff. I love Korean food. I love Japanese food. I love Chinese food. And
America was discovered initially to get to the spices.
You know what? You're right there, Patti. You are absolutely right. Didn't Marco Polo steal all those spices and bring them back to? Yeah, I think he did. I think he went over to what they used to call the Orient when we learned it in high school, and then brought all those spices brought them back to Italy. A lot of those spices and noodles. Noodles didn't start in Italy, but pasta didn't start in Italy. It started in China, I believe. So, and then this is a papaya salad, which I love.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
So it's delicious.
Delicious. And there's chilies in here and the tomatoes and crushed peanuts. So I love this stuff. I love it, love it, love it.
Bon appetit.
Yes, thank you. And then We always have a dessert because I love dessert. And tonight we have a German chocolate cake. So that's what I picked up. And yeah, I'm going to eat.
Incredible.
We
That's
both
my-
have German last names,
You-
and we love chocolate.
Well, there you go. So it worked out perfectly.
It
Now,
does.
what is something I love to ask people about? What, like, do you ever after a show say, when I get to the show, I'm gonna go and get something to eat? Or are you more like drinkers? Like, how do you reward yourself after a show?
After a show.
Yeah, you do something challenging, or you're like, you got to stay focused. And afterwards, do you ever? What's your reward?
Well, I mean, I don't know about after show, but I love Indian food. And there's this great place it's like one of the two places that are left on East 6th Street. And I'm spoiled. Marley Marquet. And
Yeah.
it's incredible Indian food.
And that used to be Little India, right? That's
Yeah.
The whole strip, yeah.
No more.
Really? I haven't been
That's-
down there in a long time. Isn't it crazy how neighborhoods change?
Yeah.
Like, look at the West Village. Can you believe the West Village now?
Well, at least there's Murray's Cheese Shop.
Love it. And Fiacos is right next to it. Which
Right. I remember all those little markety places that evoke something that you might actually say "Make America Great Again" about. Like,
Yeah.
oh look, it's a mom and pop shop that sells. I don't know. I'm just gonna say pork. I'm not
Yeah.
into pork, but like whatever it is, cheese. You know, I love cheese.
Yeah.
Chocolate cake. Look, mom and pop.
Right.
And
Yeah.
also, there's going to be like Korean people who own a bagel store.
Right.
Or maybe the people, that to me, I mean, America to me always, when I was a little girl, it looks like a fish. It's shaped like a fish, like the Florida's like one of the fins, Maine's another fin, and California is like its head.
I love that.
I feel like it's an island. Even though it's very much connected to Canada, which is considered North America. Well, it is North America, but I'm pretty good at geography, actually, because one of the things that I did when I got bored quarantine time was geography quizzes, shapes of continents.
Wow.
And actually, Pangea, which is a club. Do you know Pangea?
I know it. I know it well. Yes, I know it well.
It means the whole world before it broke apart.
Really?
All the continents. That. It looks like a jigsaw puzzle. It even looks like it.
I love that.
To me.
I didn't know that. And you two did didn't you do the Wendy Stewart and Tim Moss show?
Yeah,
yes, at Pangea.
That's so much
Yes.
fun.
Isn't that fun? Aren't they great?
Yes, those two. Amazing.
Yeah, they're so sweet. And
Hi guys, thank you for that.
Yeah. They will. We'll definitely have to go. So you can check out that interview if you want to. It's called "If These Walls Could Talk." It's on YouTube, and it's Wendy Stewart and Tim Moss. They're great people, and it's at Pangea. And you can go and watch your interview. Now we have gigs coming up, right, ladies?
Yeah, we have gigs coming up on December 1st at Lucky on Avenue B.
Okay.
December 1st.
That's the first place we ever had a gig.
Really?
Avenue B.
Yeah, and then we're playing Little Ethel's.
Young Ethels.
Young Ethel's. December 28th.
And where is that? Where's Young Ethel?
That's in Brooklyn.
Okay.
That's in Brooklyn, I think. Young Ethel's. I think it's December 28th. And then we also are probably going to be in Parkside in February.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. And you're going to both be playing that's going to be a live show, right? Do you have other musicians or it's just the two of you?
No, it's just both of us.
Just us.
Okay, cool. And Patti, you said you were in 4 bands, huh?
Yes, it's not like one day I woke up and said, I'm going to join 4 bands.
Right.
It's something that evolved. One of them was during, from I guess around 2010, I I actually dated a Paul Stanley impersonator because our friend that was a producer, you know, that relationship was so serious. I was like a wife, like a rock wife. Like, we have to go to Paramus, New Jersey again, because we have to fix the board, get the car, you know. And I was like, we're like Batman and Robin. And I really must say we did have a lot of good times. It wasn't like awful, but it was, you know, it didn't work out. So I forgot my point. I'm in 4 bands, right?
Yeah.
So I ran away from home because after I did the Hell's Kitchen thing with that producer, I'm like, well, I want to have a frivolous, fun relationship. I'll get with this guy. I knew he liked me for like 8 years, and I didn't pay any attention to him because I was in a relationship.
Right.
And I didn't know that he was a Kiss impersonator. He did Paul Stanley, you know, and he never did. He had groupies and stuff, but I wasn't one of them, partially because he never told me he was even doing that. He kept it a secret from me. I don't know. Maybe he thought I wouldn't like it.
Very mysterious, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And that's the reason I'm telling you that is because the guy in Linden with the dark sense of humor about the funeral home, we called each other the Paul Bearers because I bared Paul Stanley and he was a Paul Bearer.
Oh my God.
So that's their sense of humor.
So Patti has your own band.
So go ahead.
And then also you're in the Deep Drags.
That's my New Jersey boys band.
The Deep Drags.
During COVID, I was allowed to have one friend in New Jersey that was in Englewood Cliffs.
Oh yeah, I know it well.
Brooke Shields went there. Maybe Vera Sorvino went there. It was like a very nice, preppy school. Good, like good grades kind of thing. And I made friends with this guy named Dan. And I was allowed, because we've tested negative, to hang out with him. And we go back and forth. And that was my only friend. Then we ended up going to Pangea. And that was when we broke up. We were just friends. But like, he didn't want me to just use my name. He wanted to keep us as band. It's not really a band. And there's this other person, when I really ran away from home, I actually got Zoom married because I had never been married. And I'm like, well, I guess COVID. Right. COVID's the end of the world. I can't deal with living with my mother because she's OCD. I'm ADHD. It's never going to work. So I'm like, well, I'll just go run away with this guy. And I lived in Pennsylvania, not far from the Andy Warhol Museum, actually. And it was so eerie. Because it was no one on the street. No one.
So scary. Yeah. So scary.
The thing that this guy that I was with for temporarily, luckily I left after about 6 months. He was into filming horror films. And his favorite thing was Dawn of the Dead. And like, so I felt like I was living within a movie about Dawn of the Dead. And that was crazy. Okay. So
that's a whole other show. Like we would need a whole other show.
I know. So what are the other bands, Jill? Well, the Ruminators.
The Ruminators and then the Graveyards. This year in 4.
The Graveyards is led by a guy that had a songwriters group on Zoom when I was in Pennsylvania. Okay. And we both like X. That's why I have my hair like Exene Cervenka.
Yeah.
I wrote my first song, Flicker, which is the first song on your album that you have.
Yeah.
Based on their song Nausea.
Okay, good.
So it's all connected, of course.
Of course, everything is.
And I noticed you have a Barbra Streisand poster on your wall.
Well, that is my girlfriend's. She is a huge, like, ridiculous Barbra Streisand fan. Like, above and beyond. Like,
you know, I love Barbra Streisand. When I was a junior in high school, she was like my idol.
Of course.
Same
thing with me. I had a giant crush on her when I was a kid, you know, but it was just, I still think she's phenomenal. And we saw her live a couple years ago in Philadelphia, and she was incredible. She was like almost 80, and her show was incredible. But that I had, I had made for her, but she's got a lot of Barbra stuff. Now, are you going to continue to take pictures, Jill, and do all that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I have a photo in the permanent collection at the Museum of the City of New York.
Wow.
I do all of our art most of our artwork, our photo work. And I do a lot of abstract photography. And then actually during COVID, I work at a hospital, so I actually was working the whole time during COVID. And
oh my God, thank you.
What I would listen to 30s music and do watercolor, which I had never done before.
Wow.
But yeah, but no, I'm definitely always doing photography too.
I love that.
As well as music, yeah.
So you like listening to certain kinds of things when you create?
I think during COVID, I was listening to like 30s radio. There's something called online radio box.
Wow.
And you could get radio programs from any era and any kind of music. So I'll always love 30s music. So I found these programs from the United States and from Europe of 30s music, and just like ads that they talk about, at the time, and it's all recorded. It's really amazing.
I wonder if you had a past life in the 30s. You must have. I mean, I feel like if you're so connected to an era, like you must have lived in it at some point. I always felt that. But okay, I mean, I can't believe this hour has flown by. We're almost at the end of our show.
Okay.
So I always ask our guests to leave people with something inspiring. Like most of the people that listen to the show are creative people. That some are chefs, some are visual artists, some are musicians. So if you're having a bad day out there, and what is it something that you do to stay creative? What do you tell yourself when you're not feeling so great about staying in the game?
For me, I do like I'm a visual artist, and sound is very comforting. So I listen to the Marriage of Figaro, and then I also look at Rothberg's art. And the color fields and the music just like brings me down. I'm just always brought to center immediately.
Wow.
It's like a few seconds, and then I'm like less than a minute, and I'm like brought back to.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. How about you, Patti?
Well, I have to admit that sometimes it does just completely take over me. But what helps me is to stir the molecules up a little bit. For example, if I move all my guitars somewhere.
Oh.
To the right.
To the right. To the left. No, like if I put them, let's say, on top of, there are these cabinets in the kitchen where my cat, when he was a little kitty, he would sit there, but he doesn't go there anymore. I think because he fell off, he scared himself. But anyway, so I like to stir up the molecules because I can't leave them there. I know that I'm going to need them soon, or, so like today I threw away this rug that I had for so long that it was like part of the furniture, but it was really just like a little tiny area rug, and it was filthy. So I just wrapped it up, threw it away. And I do custom paintings. So like if your girlfriend or friends ever need like a Barbara Streisand, Barry Gibb guilty cover or whatever,
wow, good.
I do that. Talk about taking a picture and copying it. But I mean, it's the original painting. So there was a guy in Florida who ordered a painting, and I today got that out of my house. So that stirs up the molecules. Now I can see the floor, I can sweep, I can listen to music. It changes your mindset.
It changes the energy too, yeah. And lets certain light in, right? Like sometimes they say you're blocking the light. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, you're going to have to come back because there's so many more conversations to have. This has been so great. I
feel great. Thank you.
Me too. And
thank you so much for having us.
Of course. And Leo, will you join us, please? So we can Zoom out together.
I want an apron calendar.
Okay, Patti, I'm gonna reach out to you as soon as they come in. I should get them within the next 2 weeks. And then you live in the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll meet up somewhere. I have a car. I'll deliver it. I'll deliver it out the window. Be like,
oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also playing in Jersey somewhere, so we'll figure it out.
We'll have to follow Patti and Jill, just Jill or Jill G, and Patti Rothberg, the Ruminators. Go and check them out.
Google us.
Yes. and then lots will come up. Google, you won't believe it. So Leo, now you have a show coming up this week with your kids and your adult class.
I've got a show tomorrow at 3:30. We're doing song selections from Little Mermaid with my 5 through who's my oldest? 11-year-olds.
Oh,
And
that's so
then
cute.
on
Great.
Friday, we've been doing our 12-week workshop for our cabaret, Fireside Cabaret, for my senior citizens.
I love
Which is my age group and up. So great
That's great.
songs like
Yeah.
Mike and the Mechanics, some
Oh, wow.
cabaret, some what do I have? Some the song High Hopes, but Doris Day version.
Yeah.
9 to
Wow.
5, some Dolly Parton, some Miley Cyrus, and great stories from these wonderful people that have lived a little bit longer than me, just a little
Oh,
bit.
I love that, Leo. So break a leg, my friend. We love you. I just wanted Jill Crozier, a lot of Jills tonight. Jill Crozier has joined us. Jill Anderson, my friend from Jersey, has joined us. Jay Rivera, who I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody, and our usual suspects. So happy Scorpio season to all our Scorpios. Lori Towers, Rena Crunelli Berge, my cousin, Bill Goffey, Lynn Portis. Please come back every Tuesday at 9. We are here. We love and appreciate you, and we'll see you again. Thank you, Patti. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you.
You're welcome.